What's up, YouTube, and welcome to Kelly Tech's Nintendo Entertainment System Top 10. Everyone's Top 10 is probably going to be a little bit different, because it all depended on what your video store had to rent. Not all stores had the same games, so we all had different experiences. So let's dive into mine. The Nintendo Entertainment System. Every kid's dream in 1985 was to have this under the tree for Christmas. The NES is one of the most iconic consoles ever created. Some of today's best games are just remakes of NES games, and they do this for a good reason. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So in this video, I'm going to share my top 10 NES games. Let's jump right in. Number 10. Mega Man 3. The Mega Man games for the NES were definitely a large part of my childhood, but I decided I could only choose one. So I chose Mega Man 3. I just love how you can grab a controller and start playing. No story, no fluff, just pick a boss and start playing. But you're probably going to want to start with Mega Man. This game is a great platformer. Lots of jumping, shooting, and of course, dying. You guys remember this disappearing blocks section? Pretty sure I lost some hair figuring this one out. And the bosses in this game are great. You have to kind of figure out the right order to beat them, and it's pretty hard to figure out each one's patterns. But with each one you beat, you gain their powers. Mega Man 3 is definitely a must-play. Number 9. Bionic Commando. I first played Bionic Commando at my cousin's house, and was intrigued by the mechanics of the grappling hook instead of a jump button. Something about this game had me instantly hooked. The storyline goes like this. Group of bad guys trying to take over. We sent out our best soldier, Super Joe, but have not heard back. So now they've sent the Bionic Commando to rescue Super Joe. Yeah, I love the upbeat military music in this game. It's kind of cool. There's just something satisfying about swinging around. When you find a communication room, you can wiretap. That always made me feel like I was hacking a computer or something back in the day. It took me a while to get used to this style of gameplay, but I actually like it. You combine the platform-style shootouts, ducking behind barrels, with grappling hooks, swinging, and climbing capabilities. Yeah, you can't go wrong. The first boss fight kind of reminds me of Mother Brain for some reason. Oh yeah, another thing. If you meet up with an enemy during board selection, the game mechanics change to a walk-up shooter with a totally different style of gameplay, which I think is really cool, actually. So, it's pretty neat. You got two different styles of gameplay. So, all in all, Bionic Commando is a polished game from start to finish. Number 8. Kabuki Quantum Fighter. I remember this game because it was the first game I bought with my own money. Well, kinda. Me and my buddy went halfsies on it. But anyways, we got this game home, and it was amazing. The storyline goes, Scott O'Connor enters the imaging chamber to transfer his mind into the software in hopes of stopping a nuclear war from thieves that stole the nuclear codes. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's a good game. Everything about this game seemed so original, from the whipping hair to the unique graphics. And don't forget about the music. The game blended perfectly with the music. There was just something different about this game. The background imagery is amazing. The jumping is very controlled. The gameplay is equally challenging and fun. The bosses are fast and unpredictable, but at the same time not so hard that you want to quit playing. The makers of this game put a lot of thought into this game. I can't say enough good things about it. Number 7. Life Force. To me, Life Force was one of those games you just couldn't stop playing until you beat it. So I continued to play 3 days straight until I beat it. And just in time, mind you, I had to return it to the video store. And of course, I had to use the Konami code to beat this and get to 30 lives. I love this game. The controls are smooth and effortless. Definitely one of the best flying shooters. Nothing better than blasting your way through walls only to find they're closing behind you. This game definitely kept you on your toes. Life Force also boasted the upward shooter gameplay that you see in a lot of arcade games. It was nice to switch up once in a while during gameplay. The upgrades are fun and easy to use. You're gonna die a lot, so just get used to it. As for bosses, Life Force has some of the best boss fights for a flying shooter that I've ever played. Like the iBrain with arms. This thing creeped me out. And don't forget about the first upward boss fight, the windmill ship. This thing takes a lot of lives. One of the easiest bosses was the fire dragon. You just have to move up and down while shooting, not too hard at all. One of my favorites was the skeleton boss. You had to fly up his rib cage and destroy the skull between the eyeballs and the onslaught of bullets coming at you. This boss is super fun. If I want to play a flying shooter, Life Force is first on my list. Number 6. Zelda II. This was the first game I played in the Zelda franchise, and it did not disappoint. The story goes, Zelda was placed under a sleeping spell and will not wake until the Triforce is sealed in a palace in Hyrule. You start off looking at Princess Zelda under the sleeping spell, and then it pans out to a map-style gameplay that was kinda new at the time. Then you had the villages, where you could talk to people, find items, gather things. This type of gameplay had been done before, but not quite like this. My favorite part of the game was the castles. They were very well thought out. The enemies were tough and just got harder the further you got. Here comes the one hit forget. It seems like they're running at you constantly. And here comes your first real fight, the skeleton. Not too bad. Here comes the first hard fight, the Red Knight. Don't be ashamed if he beats you up, because there's a fairy right above him. Okay. Now I feel better. And don't forget about the red demon that throws fire. He's easy. Just stay in the right spot. And he's dead. Now, the first boss battle. The Malice Horseman. The bosses in this game are pretty hard, and the Horseman is no exception. Especially for the first boss. There are so many reasons to love this game, especially the save feature. So if you're looking for a great adventure game, look no further. Zelda 2's got you covered. Number 5. Castlevania II. There are a few Castlevania games to choose from, and I ended up on Castlevania II, Simon's Quest. Basically, the story is, you're here to kill Dracula. I love the old grunge towns and the people in them. You kind of have to decipher what they tell you and take it with a grain of salt. So there's a lot of reading and a lot of thinking for this game. It definitely has a creepy vibe. And don't forget to shop at the Grim Reapers. It also has a lot of platform gaming too. If you only knew how long it took me to figure out how to get the blue floating blocks to appear. I love this game. The enemies are great and fit the game perfectly. Then I finally found this guy, selling an oak steak. Remember finding this room and getting so excited, and until you couldn't figure out what to do with the glowing orb? Apparently you have to stab the orb with a wooden stake, and you will get Dracula's rib. So basically, you have to get all his body parts, assemble them, and destroy Dracula. This is definitely an epic adventure game. Number 4, Shadow of the Ninja. I got this game by accident. I went to go rent a game at my local video store, and the owner said, "Why rent for $3 when you could own for $5? Then he showed me a copy of Shadow of the Ninja. Best $5 I ever spent. The storyline goes, a dictator is destroying the country, and the two ninjas are going to save it. There was something different about the graphics on this game, and the gameplay is very immersive. I like the fact that you get several weapons, like a Chinese star, a sword, and a chain whip. The first boss is easy, so you'll stay interested in the game, but fun is still the same. The platform jumping and fighting is near perfect. The enemies are great and definitely unique. You guys remember the eyeball arms? They killed me way too many times. And don't forget about the spider copters. I hate to sound like a broken record, but the music is great in this game. You can tell they put in extra work for the music. As for the bosses, they're hard, but so much fun to play. We already seen the first boss, so here's the second. Some kind of flying robot porcupine thing. Not hard if you keep moving. Up next, Monster Tank. It took me a minute to figure this one out. Basically, hit the eye however you can. And of course, the giant samurai ninja. There are so many great things I could say about this game, but to sum it up, this game is awesome. Number 3, Metroid. I got this game for my birthday, and I had never heard of it before. I quickly found out that my mom is awesome, because this game was absolutely eye-opening. It changed the way I looked at platform games. The first Super Mario opened the door, but Metroid kicked the door in. The storyline is simple. Destroy Mother Brain, all Metroid, and the planet Zebeth. A lot of people have this game memorized. I am not one of those people. The jump and gun in Metroid is like no other game. You kinda have to do things in the right order if you want to progress. Remember standing in front of this thing collecting loot? Or getting your first missiles? Or finding your first hand gift? Maybe just finding your first energy capsule. One of the best feelings was to get your bombs. There are so many upgrades and hours of gameplay, but not enough time in this short video to list them all. But I can tell you this, Metroid is one of the best games Nintendo has ever made to date. Number 2, Punch-Out. My dad picked this up at a flea market. When he handed it to me, I was so surprised. I instantly popped in the game and heard those bells ring. This is my favorite boxing game to date. Every character had their super and their weakness, and half the fun was figuring it out. Like Glass Joe. Just had to take one in the gut to knock him down. Or Don Flamingo. Just keep giving him the left-right combo until he falls down. And then there's King Hippo. You gotta punch him in the mouth while it's open, and then punch him in the belly. Or what about Great Tiger? Just block them hits, and bam, night-night. Almost forgot about Bald Bull. You have to get your timing just right. I love the training montage, and this is where you get your passkey so you can return to your game later. If I'm being honest, the big pink guy scares me. I mean, look at the size of this guy. Needless to say, the Punch-Out is one of the funnest games to play for the NES. Simply put, an unforgettable game. Number 1. Super Mario Bros. 3. I decided I could only pick one of the 3 Super Mario Bros. Games. The original Super Mario Bros. Taught most of us how to play Nintendo, and how to platform. Mario 2 was actually a game called Okie Dokie Panic. They just replaced the characters with Mario and his friends. So I chose Super Mario Bros. 3 as my number 1 pick. Part 3 took the best from Super Mario 1 and 2, along with some extra hardware in the cartridge, and made the hands down best game for the NES. So, right away, you're greeted with a world map and board selection. These are both new options. The colors are unbelievably vibrant. Mario never looked so good in his raccoon outfit. Don't know why, but they replaced the flagpole with a gambling box. And they have mini gambling games, like this. Looks like a slot machine to me. I love the castles in this game. The play is so smooth, and the boss at the end is always fun to beat. Occasionally, you'll run into an enemy on the road, and when you beat him, he will give you an item, and you can use it whenever you like. And also, there are mushroom huts where you can pick a box and keep what's in it. And the last part of each world, the battleship board. They can be really tough. They basically let bullets just fly everywhere, and you have to make it to the tube. And if you make it to the tube, you have the luxury of fighting a boss. The bosses aren't really all that hard, but definitely fun. There are too many differences to list, but one thing's for sure, Super Mario 3 will go down in history for the most advanced game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The NES was definitely a game changer when I was a kid. Let me know if I missed something down in the comments, or maybe list your top 10. And just so you know, all the game capture was played on original hardware. No emulators were used in this video. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. And as always, have a tech day.